So today we are going to do just a simple beginner's flow. So what I mean by that, we're not going to focus too much on how the poses look or what you necessarily see on Instagram or on social media. I just want you to get used to the movement in your body, how it should feel, how you feel. And to remember that it's not going to be the same as the person next to you who may be practicing with you or what you see in a studio when you do go to one. It should look different. Everyone's body is going to be different. So we'll get started today in seated. Whichever is comfortable for you. So I like to cross my legs, but maybe you just have kind of both shins on the ground, both feet, or both outer edge blades of the feet on the ground. And we'll just kind of center ourselves. So feel free to close your eyes here. And we'll just take a few moments to focus on our breath. Try to eliminate any outside distractions from your day or what you are hearing around you currently. And while you're doing that, we'll just take a few collective breaths together. So we'll start with a big inhale, filling up the chest, the side bodies, pausing at the top, and then exhale. Another big inhale, filling up both sides, and exhale, let it go. Okay, you can keep your eyes closed here if you would like. We're going to just go over a few shoulder rolls. So what I mean by that is as you inhale, you're going to bring the shoulders up close towards the ears. And then as you exhale, you're simply going to place them back down, pushing the elbows towards the ground. Again, with the inhales, bringing the shoulders up to the ears and exhaling down. You'll hear me often say, focus your breath with movement. So as you inhale, continue to bring the shoulders up. And when you exhale, that's going to remind you to place them down. Now continue at your own pace here for a few moments, a few rounds. And as we finish up this last round here, we'll keep our hands on our knees and we're simply going to just find a few neck rolls. So what I mean by that, we're going to bring our chest or our chin towards our chest rather. And then as we inhale, we'll slowly start shifting the gaze up towards the sky, chin to follow. And then as you exhale, it's going to go down the opposite side. So if you're inhaling, moving to the right, you'll start shifting up towards the sky, and then you'll exhale towards your left. We're really just warming up the body, lubricating certain joints. And with these neck rolls, I do encourage you, if you feel tension anywhere or, a sensation that is perhaps unfamiliar from, not doing neck rolls or just from your day, you kind of stay in there and try to work that out. So maybe you stay towards the left, or maybe it feels a little odd, chin to chest. See what's going on there. And again, finishing up that last round, we'll come to center. And let's inhale those arms up towards the sky, palms touch. And then as they touch here, interlace the hands and flip the palms up so they're facing the sky here. Getting a nice stretch in the side body, starting to open up the shoulders. And as we inhale, we'll do a slight back bend. So I'll switch to my side here. So the spine will go in and you'll have a little curve in your back. And then as you exhale, really push away at the forearms here and broadening the shoulders. So those hands should be in front of your face. And again, as you inhale, you'll bring those arms back up. And we'll exhale round, really hollowing out, separating the shoulder blades. Another inhale. And we'll exhale here. Last inhale, bringing those arms up, we'll release that bind that we have. Keeping the arms up, we'll simply just roll out the wrist, finding any cracks. And then as we exhale, we'll bring it back towards our knees. Okay, so again, we'll inhale the arms up, palms touch, facing the sky. And this time as we exhale, we're gonna find a twist. So you're gonna bring your left hand to your right knee, and we're going to bring our right hand kind of towards the middle of our sit bones, towards the edge of your mat. It may be off the mat, and that's okay here too. Now, when we're twisting, we don't want to sacrifice a deeper twist by, hollowing out and not keeping the chest towards the sky. So if the twist is just too much for you and you're in pain, definitely step away from that. Just focus on keeping a straight spine and bringing the chest towards the sky. You want to keep both sit bones grounded here as well. And really use that right hand to guide you and support you in that lift. Gaze maybe over the right shoulder here, but if not, that's totally okay. You can just bring it towards the back of the mat too. And again, with our left hand, keeping it on the right knee, that will aid you in the twist as well. So as we inhale, we'll keep that spine long. And as we exhale, if you do have the space, you can deepen this twist slightly. And inhaling, arms back up to center. We'll exhale and switch sides. So our our right hand will be on our left knee, and we'll place that left hand towards the back of the room. And really the same cues apply, right? So sit bone should stay grounded, remembering we're not, sacrificing the length for the twist. And we'll just be here for a few moments, a few breaths. Just always come back to your own pace of breath, focusing on those inhales and exhales. I personally like to close my eyes during the warm-up of the practice and really just tune into my body and how it's feeling. Sometimes you may get on your mat and think you know what you need, and your body may be telling you differently, and that's okay. Awesome. We'll inhale our arms up back to center and exhale our hands to our knees. And we're simply going to find a tabletop position. So what I mean by tabletop, we want our palms and our knees on the mat. We don't want our toes tucked for this either, so bring the tops of the feet to the mat as well. And it's always super important when you're in this tabletop position to start working from the ground up. Or really any pose, actually. You want to always work from the ground up to build a strong and firm foundation to make sure there's no injuries that may occur. So you want the knees over the hips and you want the shoulders over the wrist here. Palms can be spread out slightly wider than you would typically have them throughout the day. Again, just giving you a firm foundation. And you don't want to dump into your tabletop, so you shouldn't have a curve in your spine. You want to keep that straight. Think head to heart, heart to pelvis length here. So here in this tabletop position, we're going to warm up the spine with what we call cat-cow movements. So with the cat-cow movements, we'll simply work with our inhales and our exhales. So as we inhale, begin to drop the belly and slowly shift the gaze towards the sky. Tailbone's going to tip up, chest is going to come through. And as we exhale, we're going to find that opposite motion. So we're going to push away at the mat, separating the shoulder blades. Chin to chest here as well. And again, going with your inhales, that's going to bring you up to our cow position. And we'll exhale to cat. Now here, the gaze is always going to be last to follow, just to protect the neck. And this is really the first and the perfect opportunity to find what we'd call intuitive movements. So typical cat-cows go like this, but if you're wanting to experiment with maybe barrel rolling the belly, you can always do that. If you want to slowly bring the sit bones to the heels or bum to heels, that is an option as well. Or if this movement is just completely new to you, work with this for a few rounds just to see how it feels and how your spine is feeling here. Do about 3 more rounds. And finishing up that last round, coming to our neutral tabletop, what we're going to do here, now we're going to tuck the toes. We're going to enter what's called toe pose. It can be pretty intense, so I will show you kind of what the full pose would look like. So your bum will end up on your heels. But if this is too much, understandably too much, you can try slowly getting into that by just crawling your fingertips closer towards your knees and allowing just slight weight to come back here. So wherever you are, that's definitely okay. You can always come to bum to heels to see how that feels, and if that's too much for you, just come out a little bit. So this is really stretching the sole of the feet, the ankles, poses that don't necessarily get as much attention as other parts of the body would. And while we're here, this is where I like to cue movement. I like to distract myself from the feeling and the sensations we're not quite used to. So we'll do kind of the same movements we were already doing. Maybe you do shoulder shrugs. And again, if that's what you want to do, just remember those inhales will raise the shoulders and those exhales will drop them down towards the ground. If you're liking how we interlace the hands as we inhale, that's always an option too. You can inhale and flip the palms up, and maybe finding that same cat-cow action that we did in tabletop. So you'll inhale, bring the chest through, and then as you exhale, you'll round back. So whatever would work for you to stay in this pose as long as you can. And if it's ever too much, always untuck the toes and just come to a seat on the shins there. So we'll just do a few more rounds. And then as you finish out that last round, we're gonna come back out to tabletop and we're gonna untuck the toes and just give them a little slap on the mat to bring some blood back, some circulation there. And entering back to our tabletop position, we're going to go into a calf stretch. So you'll want to pick up the right leg, keeping the ball and the toe on the mat. You're gonna push the heel back towards the back of the mat here, really feeling a nice and long stretch in the calf. Now we'll keep the palms still firmly planted and just gaze slightly over your mat. And feel free, please find movement in this pose. So maybe you come up a little bit onto the toes, maybe you push them back, bringing the entire ball mound of the foot on the mat. And again, just warming up the calves. This is always nice if you've been, or if you've been sitting all day and want to just find some movements. And bringing that back to center, we'll switch to the left leg. So we'll just extend that out long, bringing the toes on the mat and pushing that heel back. And again, finding movement that feels good for you here. And we'll keep this flow about 15 minutes or so. So it's a super quick one. You can work it into your morning or maybe in your afternoon if you're wanting a nice stretch for your weekend. Awesome. We'll come back to center here, or our tabletop rather. So we're going to tuck the toes and we're going to slowly move into downward facing dog. So when I mean slowly, you don't have to extend your legs out long. Simply just pick your knees up a little bit and push those sit bones, push the bum back, and then extend the legs up long slowly. Now, don't go to straight legs right away, especially if down dog is new to you and you're not sure, how it should feel or what you should do. I would definitely start off by saying, don't worry what you've seen downward facing dog look like if you've seen heels down or crowns of the head super close to the mat. That's not necessary to get the same benefits. Your knees or your legs rather can always be bent. I'd encourage you to try to place maybe one heel down and then the other. And as you're in downward facing dog, you really want to ground down those hands. So think about how we're spreading them super wide in tabletop, or not super wide, but a little bit wider than normal. And then to visualize this, you can always think about melting your chest towards your thighs here. And feel free to still find this movement. Maybe you close your eyes here. And you have about 2 more rounds of your own breath. And then when you are finished, we'll just find a static or a non-movement downward facing dog, non-moving. And then all we're going to do is walk our feet up to our hands. We want the feet about hip distance apart here as well, and a slight bend in the knees. And here we're going to find ragdoll. So, It's gonna lengthen out the spine, stretch out the back, legs, the hamstrings here. Ragdoll, I like to give a few options. If you're wanting to work more of the torso down, you can grab opposite elbows here. If that's not feeling good for you today or ever, you can always just bring the tops of the hands as close to the mat or maybe the feet as they can get. But always, always important to keep a bend here to protect the lower back. And eventually, once doing this, or once you enter this pose more often, or it becomes in your practice, you can work on maybe straightening out the legs a little bit, but never necessary. Now we're gonna inhale all the way up, so root to rise. Arms are gonna go up overhead, palms will touch. And then as you exhale, we'll bring them to heart center or right to our sternum. And then down to our sides. So we're gonna find Tadasana here. So make sure you're at the top of your mat or a little bit closer to it if you're not already. You wanna close your eyes here. Maybe focus on lifting the inner arches of the feet. And maybe you play with your balance. So how does it feel if you're on your heels, the balls of your feet? Just finding a steady, soft gaze. Okay, we'll do one more inhale, arms up. And this time as we exhale, we'll fold all the way down. And we'll walk back out to our downward facing dog. We'll just be here for a moment to transition. We'll go into a few poses here. So let's inhale and raise that right leg up. Doesn't have to be super long, maybe just a straight line. And then as you exhale, just bring that up to the top of the mat in between both hands. And you really want to slide or place that back heel down. Slight bend in the front right leg here too. And you'll inhale those arms up. So you'll be facing the top of your mat. We're going to enter Warrior One. So in Warrior One, you want to try to work the hips towards the top of the mat as well. And really just think about sealing the outer edge blade of the left foot down towards the mat. Arms can stay up, but if they're feeling tired today, you can always bring them to heart center as well. We won't be here too long. We're really just working the thighs, bringing the hips towards the front of the mat. Big inhale, straight spine. And as we exhale, we'll lunge just a little bit deeper into that front leg. Big inhale and exhale. Last inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to open up to Warrior Two. So what I mean by that, so instead of our hips being at the front of our mat, they're now going to face the side of our mat, the long side. Your legs are going to remain the exact same as Warrior One legs. Your back leg may come out a little bit, but it's not necessary here. I just want you to understand what the pose is and kind of find your own balance. Arms will be out long as well. And you'll want to stare over that front right hand. You want to keep the core activated and that tailbone tucked in. And if you're ever wondering if you're in this pose right or like what the heck's going on, feel free to bring your hands to both of your hip bones, and that's kind of just a personal assistant here, so you can kind of guide them towards the long edge of the mat. Okay, last inhale here, and we'll exhale. Now we're just gonna pivot both toes in, heels out, and we're gonna find a wide-legged forward fold. So kind of like or ragdoll at the top of our mat, but our legs will just be a little bit longer. So we'll keep the hands on the hip bones, and then as we exhale, we're just going to work on bringing the crown of the head towards the mat. And here, if you want to, you can find some movement. You can place the hands on the mat. Maybe they're just on the shins today, or maybe you grab the outer edges of both feet. And again, I will encourage you, maybe you close your eyes and see what intuitive movements come to you here. All right, bringing those palms under the face, we'll inhale to a flat back, and then we're simply going to exhale to the top of our mat. So just a small twist with both feet, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. Okay, from here we're going to inhale the left leg up, place that to the top of our mat, spin that back heel down, and rise again for Warrior One. So we kind of already have an idea of where the hips should be, where our gaze should be, and maybe we are turning that back leg in just slightly. Arms up, framing the ears. A good reminder here, you always want to think about rotating your pinkies towards one another. So framing the ears with both arms as well. Big inhale. And as we exhale, we can lunge deeper into that left leg if it's available to you. Steady gaze, straight spine. Big inhale. And we'll exhale. Last inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to open up to warrior two. So again, we want those hips to face the long edges of the mat. And those hands are always available to you for a personal assistant. And we're still going to gaze up towards the top of the mat. And think about, if you're looking over your front left leg, you should be able to see at least the first two toes. If you see more, that's okay. You definitely don't have to be this deep into warrior two, but that's like a general guideline if you're looking for one. Couple more breaths. Last round here. Big inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to pivot and find that wide leg forward fold once more. So working on bringing the crown of the head towards the mat. And again, so how I encourage they bend in ragdoll at the top of our mat, you can definitely find that in the forward fold here too. If there's ever any tension in your lower back, just make sure you're not forcing a stretch that just simply isn't there. And just a few rounds of breath. And we'll inhale back up to a flat spine, and we'll simply pivot to the front of our mat. And we'll bring that left foot back to meet the right for downward facing dog. And then we'll simply just go on our knees. And we're gonna end class on our back, so however you would like to get there. Once we are laying on our mat, or the back's on our mat, we're gonna find just a simple twist. So we're going to bring both legs into our chest. So kind of like a hugging motion. Maybe you can interlace the hands here. When you are here, you can find stillness, or maybe you do rock from side to side, giving that lower back a little massage. And we wanna keep the head on the mat as well. Okay, finding that stillness, we're going to exhale the knees to the left side of the room as we gaze over that right hand, finding a supine twist. So this is another great opportunity where you don't want to sacrifice like the length of this twist just to deepen it. So maybe you are up here, the knees don't have to touch the ground ever. You should want to focus on trying to keep those shoulder blades grounded as you gaze over the right hand. And if you're wanting to deepen this, you can always bring the left hand to the outer right side of the leg, thigh here. And we'll just be here for a moment. So during this class, I didn't want to focus too much on linking every breath to a movement. If you're learning these poses or trying to understand how they should feel, how you get into them. Really, these poses are just very general, basic poses you could work into your everyday stretch routine. Then you'll notice the openness, the flexibility that you do gain with a consistent practice. And we'll inhale back to center. And then we'll exhale and switch sides. So now our knees should be going towards the right side of the room, and our gaze is going to go towards the left. And again, this is a class that you can come back to multiple times to see if you're getting better in poses or if you're opening up a little bit more. And just a few more breaths. And we'll inhale back to center, so bringing the knees to our chest just one more time. And then we'll simply just place the soles of the feet on the mat. Maybe your hands meet at your heart, or maybe they are just down by your sides. So if you're new to yoga, typically we end class in what's called Savasana. I would always encourage maybe a 3 to 5 minute Savasana. So basically, simply put, you are just laying here, you are refocusing on the work you've just completed, coming back to your normal pace of breath if it kind of got a little bit faster as you work through new movements you're not necessarily familiar with. So when you're in Savasana, I always would encourage you to take up space. So what I mean by that, instead of having the soles of your feet on the ground, you would just extend those legs out really, really long to both corners of the mat. Maybe your hands would go there too. If you're wanting to find more of a meditative state, I find it's helpful if you place whichever hand's more comfortable on your stomach and the other hand on your heart. And simply as you are breathing, maybe you focus on the up and down motion your belly creates. So before ending our class today, we'll just take about 4 silent breaths together. If you're wanting more after this, please just pause the video and take some time that you need. Okay, and if you're still with me here, we'll remain exactly how we are. So just on our back, eyes closed. I hope you enjoyed this beginner's flow. I hope it's something that you do come back to and see your progress. And if you definitely have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But like I said, this was just a very basic beginner's pose or beginner poses. And we kind of touched base on breath to movement and just linking our breath with the movements we created today. This is also my first YouTube video, so if you did tune in, I'm super grateful for you. And I hope this brought you some clarity if you were questioning about yoga or if you had any questions about the class or the poses in themselves. So I hope you come back. I plan on recording a few more for you guys, just more specific poses, maybe for your lunchtime or bedtime or more specific areas. If there's anything you guys would like to see from me, definitely let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoy this.